Sound check. Sound check. Okay. 22. At 35 seconds. What's up, guys? We are live for AMA Thursday. I'm happy to be here. Let me know what questions you guys have for me, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. This could be anything about Amazon FBA or being an entrepreneur or a digital nomad or anything else. Put your questions in the chat box below, and I will be more than happy to answer them for you guys. All right, we have the first one here. It says, this one's from Miles on Facebook. I purchased the Jungle Scout tools a few weeks ago, and I'm hopefully at the final stage of product research. With the help of Jungle Scout tools, I've selected the product that seems to be a good opportunity for my first product launch. However, I would like some help deciding whether to pursue a broad niche with excellent demand and medium competition, or to niche down further to a more targeted niche with good demand and low competition. Ultimately, the question is that what's more important, demand or competition? So both of these items are important. It's important to have high demand and low competition. If you're a complete beginner, I would probably veer towards a product that has a lower amount of demand but a lower amount of competition. It's a little bit easier to learn on products like that as opposed to one that has much higher demand but maybe like medium level competition. So hopefully that answers your question for you. The next one's from Kay on Facebook. Do you have any videos about what to do when you get a baseless counterfeit claim? Where Amazon doesn't want to interfere and keeps pushing me back for a retraction from the customer, and claimer doesn't want to retract knowing that their claim is baseless. Help. Unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do about this. You can ask Amazon to submit proof for the counterfeit. Unfortunately, though, like I said, since there's not a ton that you can do about this, at some point, I think you just have to kind of let it go and not worry too much about it. There's typically not like enough counterfeit claims, or, you know, if it's like baseless, if it really is like maybe a competitor or someone else with kind of like a BS claim, there's typically not like enough of these to ever affect like the health of the listing. So hopefully, yeah, that's all you kind of have to do or worry about for it. All right, let's see here. Another one from KS Shopper. I am intending to purchase your Pro Chrome extension package. Can I download it onto two laptops? I have a laptop that I use at home and a smaller one that I use for work. Yes, the extension only works for one person. However, you can install it on multiple laptops. So if you have like one computer at work and one computer at home, it is okay to install that on both of those computers. However, it will only work for one individual person. That's what the license for, one person. To list your product on Amazon, do you take your own pictures? Can you please comment on how to take appropriate pictures for the listing? If you are on a tight budget, you definitely can do your own pictures. If you have a little bit more money, then professional images typically do turn out better. If you just Google like DIY photography Jungle Scout on Google, we created this really good blog post that shows you guys how to create your own images using just like a smartphone or an iPhone or whatever else. So you can try to do that. We have some really good tips about how to do the lighting, how to like adjust it on your phone and everything else. So yeah, you can check that out and that should help a little bit. All right, when ordering inventory from a Chinese manufacturer, how can they send the products directly to Amazon? If they do, how will Amazon know that they're from me? Also, can the Chinese manufacturers apply for FNSKUs themselves? Can you please comment on this? Once you're ready to send your product into Amazon, you're gonna create an Amazon shipment, okay? And in the shipment, they're gonna give you labels to put on the cartons so that when your cartons arrive at Amazon, they know that these are from you and for your account. They're also going to know with the FNSKU that you put on each individual product, because that FNSKU is specific for your seller account. That FNSKU, you know, like it's specific for you. It's not for all Amazon sellers as a whole. So they'll know two ways. They'll know because of the label on the carton, and they'll know because of the FNSKU on your particular product. All right. Can Chinese manufacturers apply for FNSKUs themselves? Chinese manufacturers or anyone in the whole world can sell on Amazon, but they would, of course, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're a factory or a third-party seller or whoever else, anyone can sell on Amazon, but they would have a separate FNSKU. All right. On YouTube, the Gordon Way says, does Amazon allow us to put watermarks on photos for copyright? No, they do not allow this, and I think if you were to read into the depths of their terms of service, it would say something along the lines of like, you know, we have the rights to show these images on their website. I guess you still own the copyrights, but they have like unlimited use for them on their website. So no, you can't put watermarks on there. All right, let's see. My supplier has wasted my 10 days. And now he is saying that we cannot provide the color that you wanted. He has increased the lead time as well. I paid by Alibaba. Can I get a refund? You can try. I think it depends on the terms of the Alibaba trade assurance. Oftentimes, I think in Alibaba trade assurance, it will say that if it's not shipped in this amount of days, or there's different terms in the Alibaba trade assurance. One is like there's a shipment time and a quality of goods. Other ones, it's just quality of goods. But dealing with factories and dealing with suppliers always is like, there's always headaches involved with this. Just, I mean, with any business, there's always going to be headaches involved. A 10-day delay is not like that out of the ordinary, right? You can kind of like, I mean, that doesn't shock me reading this. If they have already started your production though, it's probably not likely you're going to get your money back if all it is a 10-day delay. I don't think that quite warrants getting all your money back, because, you know, they've already spent money to buy the raw materials. They've already started production. You know, they have all these people working on this and stuff. So a 10-day delay alone won't probably get your money back, but you can look into it. Does Amazon raise FBA price during the holidays? This is from Kevin on YouTube. Amazon increases the storage fees during the holidays, but they don't increase the commission. So if we look at FBA fees as a whole, there's different types of fees in here. One's the commission. It's about 15% except for a few specific categories. There's also the pick, pack, and ship fee. Those are typically like flat fees for pick, pack, and ship, depending on the size tier. And then there's also, typically people are hit with like storage fees. This means how much it costs to store your goods in Amazon's warehouse. So they increase their storage fees to encourage the sellers not to overstock in their distribution centers during the holidays, because they're jam full during this time. But the rest of the fees stay the same. Renee on YouTube says, okay, here's my question. To avoid Amazon noticing, can I just delete my Facebook account when my product goes live? So many of my customers have befriended me, putting me in a tight spot. I don't think Amazon's checking your Facebook to see. I think your question here is, my friends left me reviews on my product, and now I'm worried that Amazon's going to catch me for it. I think at some point there was rumors going around that like Amazon has an API and they check your friends. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I don't personally believe that's true. All that being said, you need to be following the rules here, and not having your family members and stuff leave reviews for you on Amazon. So I don't know. At this point, it sounds like maybe you've already kind of broken these rules. I don't know the best thing for you to do at this point. So I can't give you too much advice on this, but moving forward, I would definitely encourage you to follow Amazon's rules and not have friends and family leave you reviews. On YouTube, MGSP said, Greg, what should I do when a seller stole my main pick? Put his watermark on the sides and did some editing to make his image lighter. If you were the one to take this picture, you do own the copyrights of this image. You could start with just a threatening type message to the seller. This has happened to me before. I sent a threatening type message to the seller saying I was going to report him to Amazon and potentially file a lawsuit against them if they didn't take it down. That may work. If it doesn't, at this point, you need to be thinking about, is it worth it for me to hire an attorney to send him a cease and desist letter and potentially then take him to court to try to retrieve damages for this? Or is it not that big of a deal and I should just let it go? Hiring a lawyer, it's going to cost money. It's like, okay, well, is this guy, is he ranked up, close to me? Or is he stealing sales away from my listing because he does have this image? I guess those are the types of things you have to kind of be asking yourself. So yeah, you kind of have to weigh it at that point, right? It's like, okay, is this worth, trying to go after this guy or not? On YouTube, Soldier Bag said, how can I install prohibited keywords for non-prohibited products? For example, cannabis or cannabis-related only product like a bag. I don't know. I don't quite understand the question here, but if there's prohibited keywords, I wouldn't be putting those in your product and on your product listing, would be my advice. I'm having trouble getting past hazmat review. I've turned in the paperwork for Amazon that Amazon asked for, but it's been a long time and I've not yet waived as non-hazmat. This time of year, I think Amazon's support and distribution centers and everything is just a lot slower because it's a very busy time of year for them. So I would just wait. Unfortunately, there's not too much else to do. We went through kind of a similar frustration while we were trying to get our UK Amazon account approved for our Jungle Slumber sleeping bags. It was only supposed to take like 5 to 10 days and it ended up taking like 40 days. And I think that's just this time of year, they're just very overwhelmed and things are just going slower and there's not too much you can do about it. So at this point, you turn in your paperwork, it's just a waiting game. Sebastian on YouTube said, question, when using the Niche Hunter on the Jungle Scout web app, when I expand some of the results, individual niches, it doesn't display anything. What's wrong? It sounds like this may be a display bug with your particular computer or browser. What I would do is I would send in a support ticket to support@junglescout.com. If you fill out, or what I do is I would fill out a support ticket on the knowledge base. When you do this, it captures like your operating system and browser and a few things like that, and it helps us troubleshoot this for you because there shouldn't be any niches not displaying any information in there. We have some tests to make sure that those wouldn't like go out in our app. So I think it's something specific to your particular computer. Robert on YouTube said, what's the minimum investment in money I need to get started selling on Amazon? If you want to private label a product on Amazon, we did the math and I wrote a blog post about this, and I think it requires about $2,000 to start a private label product on Amazon. People have done it with less money, and there's lots of success stories out there of people starting with like $300 or $500 or whatever. But in my opinion, if you have less than $2,000 to spend to get started, I would recommend doing like retail or online arbitrage, or maybe like bundling some wholesale products or whatever else to start making some money, and then make money doing those methods before you private label an item. Because private labeling items is more expensive. You have to place bigger order quantities. You have to get these items shipped from China. You have to take photographs, everything else. So it's going to cost you a little bit more money. All right, Mohammed on YouTube said, do you think that a lower price is the best selling strategy, or it's better to focus on quality with a higher price? Personally, I never like competing on price. I think it's a race to the bottom, and it's not a competition that I want to get involved with. So I would always recommend going for a higher quality product and charging a higher price for that. On YouTube, Al Badu said, if I want to have a photo of my product on my packaging, but I don't have the product yet, how can I get a photo to put on my packaging? This is difficult. You could ask for a sample. I think the only other thing you could do would be to ask the factory to, like the first unit to come off the production line, to have them send that to you. You take the photos, then you create the packaging and then send it to them. But this sounds like it's going to delay your product a fair bit, right? So, I mean, what I would probably do instead would be just to not put the photo of your product on your packaging. That's what I would do. Hey, Greg, there's a seller that is getting sales mostly from frequently bought together, seems like. How can I compete and get the position instead of my competitor? So, it's difficult to do. Amazon, of course, has an algorithm that decides, like who's, they decide what items are most frequently bought, with this particular item, right? So, I mean, there are people purchasing that product, it sounds like probably with your product, okay? I mean, the only thing you can do here is like, I guess, I think maybe you're asking this because like you have a product that you wish people were buying with your product. You can try to offer a coupon to say, if you purchase both of these items together, you get a certain amount of discount. If you do that and people end up using that coupon, then of course, people, you may start to get that like frequently bought together section, but that's about all you can do. On YouTube, the Gordon Way said, hey Greg, can you give us some advice when doing product research during the holiday season and not picking something that is overinflated due to Q4 sales? Sometimes I can't see the history of products. Sure. So we actually take into account when we do the Jungle Scout estimates, fourth quarter, and typically the estimated sales you're seeing right now are actually a little bit conservative and more reflective of what those sales would be like, let's say like in November or maybe even October. So we take that into account a little bit because we understand people are doing product research during this phase and we don't want to show them overinflated numbers. So that's one thing that's already working on your side. The second thing is I would just encourage you to check the sales history. So remember, you can click on this, like if you're using the Jungle Scout extension, you can click on the estimated sales and you can see the history, sales month by month. You can also check Google Trends, which is helpful. And I kind of take both these things into account. If I have a registered trademark and register it with Amazon, how do I limit sellers from selling on my brand? So on Amazon, unlike eBay, there's only one listing per ASIN or per SKU, okay? Anyone in the whole world can sell on that listing if they have a legitimate and non-counterfeit product, you know, of that ASIN or of that SKU. So if I have a I have a Bic pen here. If I have a pack of these and it's brand new, you know, I can sell this product on this Bic pen listing on Amazon, right? And that's totally legit. So I'm sure what you're asking is, hey, I'm a private label seller. I've never sold my product to anyone else, but someone just popped up on my listing and they're selling this product, even though like I haven't sold it to this person. Like, yeah, Bic pen sells to people, you know, to Office Depot and whoever else, and you know, those people might be selling on the listing. So there's not a whole lot you can do about that. If it's not actually your product and it's counterfeit, then you could order that product. You could take pictures of it to prove this to Amazon, and you could report to Amazon that there's a counterfeit person selling on your listing. But if it's legitimately your product and it's not counterfeit, they're actually not doing anything wrong, okay? So sometimes this might be like someone purchased your product and didn't return to Amazon, but wanted to just sell it on your listing instead. That could potentially happen. The really big brands like Apple and whoever else, they have kind of like exclusive agreements with Amazon. They have a lot more pull. They have a large group of lawyers and stuff. So some of them have restricted from other non-authorized resellers selling on their listings. But as private label sellers, there's unfortunately not much we can do about that. Lisa on Facebook said, I'm not from the US and I'm thinking about launching a product on Amazon with a product made of wood. Are there any requirements either from Amazon or the US for wood products? When you are selling wood products, or when you're importing wood products to the US, it doesn't matter if you're from the US or not. That has nothing to do with it. There are certain restrictions that they have to be, you know, like free of pesticides and whatever else. So yes, I would encourage you to ask your freight forwarder or look into the importing requirements for wood to the US, but it doesn't matter whether you live in the US or not. I'm not aware of any requirements that Amazon has. It's just like the US customs. Let's see here. On YouTube, Patricia said, thanks for the terrific info. Thank you, Patricia, for watching. I've sold a few books on Amazon privately. My reviews are not 5 stars. Will this affect my new Amazon FBA or other account? I think maybe. So it doesn't matter at all what reviews your product gets. You might be talking about seller feedback, but the short answer is no. Unless like your seller feedback is really bad, it doesn't really matter that much, especially when you're selling FBA. So I wouldn't worry about it. On Facebook, Gary Skaggs says, I found that recently, right prior to Black Friday, that my sales tanked on a product that is very popular. Amazon sells this product as well. How do I win the sale against Amazon? You're probably overthinking this. Sales on Amazon are a roller coaster, right? Some days they're really good, and next day they're bad, next day they're really good, next day they're bad. Amazon's probably like the products that Amazon sells themselves, the listings typically suck. So the FBA sellers, the private label guys, typically win the sales over Amazon. So Amazon doesn't like change the algorithm to favor their products as far as like listing rank for particular keywords. They do favor themselves for winning the buy box, but not in like keyword rank, okay? So I think you're worried over nothing here. All right, on YouTube, Manny B said, hey, Greg, hope all is well. Question, what is your experience with JumpSend? And if you have a very specific product, let's say door hinges, would you still start out offering coupons on JumpSend? Yes, I would. You'll be surprised on people on JumpSend want like everything. You know, there's like over 100,000 people on there. So even if it's a very specific item, like whatever, you can probably find something on JumpSend that people on JumpSend that want it. That being said, you may have to offer a little bit bigger discounts, but I'm sure you can find someone on JumpSend to purchase it. YouTube, Ali Badu said, can you recommend any companies for copywriting? All right. So The way the question is phrased makes me believe that you may not understand what a copyright is or a trademark or maybe other IP laws. So let's just go over that just real quickly. Of course, I'm not an IP lawyer, but just from doing business, I feel like I have a general understanding of what these IP or how these IP laws work in the US. Trademark. What is a trademark? We've trademarked the word Jungle Scout, okay? In the US, it's a first to use, not a first to register system. So the first person who uses the term Jungle Scout for that specific trade or industry then has that trademark. You can formalize this by registering your trademark with the US Copyright Office. And this tells them that not only was Jungle Scout the first to use the word Jungle Scout, but now they also have a registered trademark. That means if one of you guys go out there and you try to create a piece of software and name it Jungle Scout, then our lawyers can go after you and say, that is our trademark. You know, you owe us damages because you built something called Jungle Scout and that was ours. All right. So that's a trademark. A copyright. So you trademark like your logo or like the name of your company, right? A copyright, something different. A copyright is if you create like images or songs or written text. The creator of that owns the copyrights unless it's assigned to someone else. So if you hire a photographer, you're going to want to make sure that you have an agreement in place with them that even though they're creating the images, that the copyrights should be assigned, they need to be assigned to you, and that's the reason you're paying them for it, okay? When you create something, you automatically own the copyrights. If you're purchasing an image or text for your listing or whatever else, you need to make sure that you then own the copyrights because you're paying them to create those. But you don't own those copyrights by default unless that's in a written agreement, okay? Hopefully that answers your question because, yeah, or hopefully that clears up kind of what you were asking because it doesn't quite make sense how it was phrased. On YouTube, Trina said, "Morning. I've been watching videos and I'm making the jump today to sign up and get started." Woohoo! Congratulations, Trina. My question is, when do you create a company name / LLC? I haven't really seen anything about that. Good question. If you live in the US, it's not required to have an LLC or an incorporation to sell on Amazon. My understanding is if you live outside of the US, you do have to have a registered entity to be able to sell on Amazon. So that's consideration number one. Now, let's say you're living in the US. Now you're trying to decide, do I need like an LLC, which is probably what you would register, or can I just sell as myself as a human? The largest benefit of having an LLC would be it's a limited liability corporation, LLC, is it protects you as a human from any liabilities from that you may encounter from your business. So for example, I have my marshmallow sticks. Let's say someone trips and falls, they poke their eye out, and now they say, hey, this is the marshmallow sticks' fault that my kid poked their eye out. The marshmallow sticks shouldn't have had an end on them. I want to sue the makers of that marshmallow stick. I don't think this case would win in court, but let's say it did. They technically can only go after the assets in my company then because I formed this company. It's separate from Greg Mercer, the human. So, my marshmallow sticks company, it doesn't have a whole lot of assets in it, but maybe they could take my $10,000 worth of marshmallow sticks and $5,000 worth of cash, and they could go after those $15,000. If I didn't have the company and it was just me, Greg, the human, then they could go after myself and any of my personal assets, like the money in my personal bank account. And if I had a car, maybe go after that or whatever else. So that's the theory behind it. So then you have to be kind of asking yourself, what's my risk tolerance? Is anyone going to go after me for having my hooded baby towel? Probably not. But maybe if I was a high net worth individual, then I'd be thinking like, okay, like I do have a lot of money. Like I don't want them to be able to go after that. So that's when you kind of have to decide. That was a long-winded answer to just tell you that I think most small-time sellers, when they're getting started in the US, probably start without an LLC, just of ease of getting started. But I want you to understand the risks associated with that. And then also know that like that also is like the first step you need of like creating like a legitimate business. So as soon as maybe like you pick up a little traction or whatever else, you would probably want to have one because then you can open up credit cards under your company and whatever else. So something to think about. All right, Lorena on Facebook said, what do you think about competing with a product that Amazon is the seller? I love competing against Amazon because their listings suck. They're the best person to compete against. They don't try to do anything dirty. Their listings are bad. They don't rank Amazon does not rank their listings over private label sellers, so they're the best people to compete against. I'd much rather compete against Amazon instead of a third-party seller because a third-party seller, they care about their listings. Amazon doesn't. On YouTube, me myself said, I am selling on the US market, although I live in Europe. I don't have an American bank account and I'm not able to open an LLC in the US. Is it okay to use a European bank account instead of American? My understanding is yes, that it is okay. I think Amazon then converts and deposits the money in your home currency. So you would lose a little bit of money on the conversion rates. Of course, that's true whenever you're converting money from one currency to another. If you want to minimize these, there are services called like Payoneer and I forget all of them. You can search for them. But what these companies do is they give you a bank, like a US dollars bank account. They let you deposit the US money in here. They give you better conversion rates back to your home currency, or you can keep the money in the like the US dollar denomination. And then you could pay the factories like in US dollars. And that way you don't have to convert it twice, because that's when you really start, you know, the 1% conversion fees or whatever else start to add up if you're converting multiple times. Or you could just, you're sitting here, I'm not able to open an LLC, but I think if you look into it, you are, because anyone in the whole world can open up a US LLC and it's easy to do. You can do it online. On Facebook, it said, hey, Greg, does your cargo from China has to stop in a warehouse in the USA before shipped to Amazon warehouse, or can it go straight to Amazon without stopping in a warehouse? If you are shipping air courier, that'd be like DHL or UPS, whatever else, you can ship it directly from China to the Amazon distribution center, okay? If you're shipping ocean freight, there would be two types of shipments. One would be LCL, less than container load. At that point, it would have to arrive at a warehouse. It would have to be unloaded. The boxes would have to be palletized. Your half of that container would be palletized, and then those would be shipped into Amazon. If you're doing a full container load, so a whole container, a 20-foot or 40-foot container full of your goods, then you can actually ship those directly to Amazon without stopping at a warehouse first. But it is a little bit more complicated because your freight forwarder has to like book an appointment with Amazon, and there's a few, if you search floor loaded container, there are a few technicalities that they would like to see as far as how that full container is packed. On YouTube, Conor McGregor says, hey, I'm from Europe and I'm selling in the European market. If I want to sell in the USA market, do I have to create a new seller account, or can I use my normal one? Amazon has two different separate systems. One is Amazon EU, okay, and one is Amazon North America. So the North America account, you can sell in Canada, the US, and Mexico. The EU, of course, you sell in all of the EU countries and maybe even India, I think. I'm not positive on that one. So to answer your question, two separate seller accounts. All right, on Facebook, Ariel Andrew Steinberg, how long does a good product opportunity normally last on Amazon in your experience? Some of my first products that are like 5 years old now are still doing well on Amazon, okay? The bamboo marshmallow sticks, they're 2 years old now. They sold like 1,800 units last in the month of November, or in the month of October or something. They're still doing well. That being said, if you sold fidget spinners, it's like a really faddish product. It probably only lasted like 3 months. So if it's like not like a fad type product, this might last years and years to come. And I don't really know for sure. It's like some of my products lasted 5 years. Will they last 10 years or 20 years? I don't know. Will Amazon be around in 20 years? I have no idea. That's a long time in the internet years. So it depends on the product type, but these can last a very long time. All right, Adam on YouTube said, if you see a couple new competitors in your selected niche, Would you go with air shipping for your first shipment in order to make review sales faster? Is the extra cost worth it? It depends how much if you can still make a profit on your items with shipping air, then I might consider it. If it's like break even and you're just trying to sell those just to get reviews, I'd probably just ship ocean. Chris N.O. said, I've heard you can pay Amazon to leave your first 5 reviews. Is this true? And if so, how do you go about it? All right, so there's a program called Early Reviewer Program. It costs you 70 or 80 bucks. And when you pay Amazon, you can sign up for this inside Seller Central. So you pay Amazon 80 bucks. And then what happens is you can't select the people, but the sales that you make, Amazon then emails these customers and tells them that if they leave a review, Amazon will give them like a $2 Amazon gift card or a $4 Amazon gift card or whatever it is. It's not very much. So they'll email these customers for you and ask you to leave these. So it's actually I have experience with this, that's why I know it. The terminology on their sites makes it sound like it's just your first 5 reviews. Like after you get to 5, that doesn't work anymore. But it's actually for 80 bucks, you get 5 reviews through the early reviewer program. I think they continue to sell or send these emails and offer these deals until you get 5 reviews through the early reviewer program. So that's how it works. You just decide, is it worth it to pay like 80 bucks for 5 reviews or increase the chance of getting those 5 reviews? I don't know. It's pretty expensive, but you can decide. Alberto, hey Greg, thank you so much for the value. Alberto, thank you for tuning in. If I update the percentage off on JumpSend, do I need to create new coupons on Amazon? Yes, you do. JumpSend cannot automatically create or update coupons on Amazon. That's not available through their API. So you do have to create new coupons that represent the new coupon value and put those into JumpSend. All right, on YouTube, Venkat said, hey Greg, I love your products and webinars. My first product is on its way to FBA. Planning to do pay-per-click, do I need AMS? Getting approval for that seems to be tricky. I would say no. Amazon a couple months ago released headline ads within the sponsored product section of Seller Central. So now the only benefit of having AMS are the, what do they call them? Inline ads? They're the ads right below the buy box on the listings. I probably wouldn't worry about it. I've had some success with that, but not like the best success, and it's probably more headache than it's worth for you. Alex, what's your favorite way to get the first reviews rolling? I think it's a no-brainer that everyone needs to set up an email automation program. Of course, I use JumpSend because it's one of our products, but JumpSend automatically sends all customers an email, asks them to leave a review. All right, that will greatly increase the number of reviews you get, and it's just a no-brainer. In order to get my first sales, in order to get my first reviews, I also use JumpSend. JumpSend also has a deal site. There's over 100,000 shoppers on the deal site. And what happens is you give away coupons on the deal site, and that increases the number of sales you get because these are like bargain shoppers and they love getting these deals and these products, okay? So by increasing sales, you then increase your page rank or your listing rank for your keywords. When you do that, you get more natural sales. When you get more natural sales, you get more reviews. When you get more coupon sales, you get more reviews. So that's the way I always launch my products, and it works well. Chandler said, you are such an inspiration, Greg. Thank you, Chandler. Do you need to have an Amazon seller account set up prior to doing product research to access all the features of the Jungle Scout Pro extension on Chrome? No. Like 3 months ago or so, 2 or 3 months, 2 months ago, I don't know. We released an update to the Chrome extension, so you do not have to have an Amazon Seller Pro account to be able to access all the features. So no, you do not. You can access all the features of Jungle Scout Pro without a Seller Central account. Yeah. Chris on YouTube, thoughts on changing subcategory to a less competitive category to acquire the best seller tag? Product currently doing 15 sales a day, so don't want to hurt sales by switching category. I wouldn't do that. 15 sales a day is good. I think you're overthinking this one. I wouldn't change it because when you change your category, Amazon might change what keywords you're ranked for. So you're kind of, I wouldn't change what's working for you. On YouTube, Momenta said, what do I need to qualify for the buy box? First of all, if you're the only seller on that listing, then you automatically qualify for the buy box unless you're pricing it ridiculously and Amazon doesn't like that price. If there are other sellers on the listing, so I'm selling my Bic pens again, and there's 20 sellers on this listing, you need to be within 2% of the lowest price. Essentially, Amazon needs to not be selling on that listing, because if you're competing against Amazon on the same listing, not on different listings, but on the same listing competing for the buy box, then they typically automatically take it. If they're not on there, you need to be in the 2% of the lowest price and have good seller feedback. Nadeem said on JumpSend, I'm going to start selling in Amazon FBA Germany, but I can't use JumpSend to offer coupons in Germany. I saw there's only USA and UK available. Yes, unfortunately, that's correct. We do plan on launching the German market next. Maybe by the end of the year, if not in January. Right now, JumpSend works to send emails to everyone in North America and everyone in the EU. But as far as the deal site goes, we only have shoppers for the US and the UK. So yeah, sorry about that. All right, we have time for about 3 or 4 more questions, and it's time to get back to work. Dave said, just getting started. I was wondering if I should apply for a sole proprietorship or an LLC. Any ideas? Thanks for the help. I think your question here is with when you're registering your account on Amazon, because you can be a sole proprietor in an LLC. So I think your question is here, like when you're filling out Amazon's tax survey thing, should you register as yourself using your social security number or register as a company using like an LLC with an EIN number? And I answered this a little bit earlier, but essentially what it comes down to is your risk tolerance and whether or not you want to potentially be liable for anything that bad happens in this company. But yeah, so maybe for you, I'd recommend just like asking around or Googling like, do I need an LLC? Or I don't know. I mean, maybe talk to like a lawyer or something about this. I don't know the best answer for you. I hate to give advice like on this particular topic because it's, I don't want to discourage people from getting started by telling them that they have to have an LLC. But at the same time, I don't want to give advice to someone saying that it's fine, you don't need an LLC, and then something bad to happen. So you can kind of look into it a little. Blake said, hey, Greg, thanks for the great info. I'm creating a private label product, but hesitant due to concerns about liability. Do you need an insurance policy for each product that you private label? 99% of Amazon sellers do not have an liability insurance policy for their products. Most are willing to accept the liability that they assume by creating that product and just understanding that their personal assets are protected as long as you don't, as long as you follow LLC best practices by creating a corporation like an LLC. Austin said, what if friends and family know about my new product and buy it and leave a review? Will Amazon shut me down even if I don't solicit? They could shut you down. What's more likely is they just won't. They're smart and they're just going to delete that review. I'm a rule follower myself, so I wouldn't recommend doing that. So, yeah. Metal Girl said, how's the towel hoodies doing? The Jungle Snugs. They're selling. We ran out of stock for a little while, so that sucked. We're back in stock. I think in total they're selling about 400 units per month, which is good. Our goal was 300, so we're better than what our goal is. The pink ones are doing really well. The pink are selling like 200, 250 a month, and the blue and the white are the lesser popular colors. They're only selling like 100 a month. But yeah, can't complain. 400 units a month. We make about $4 or $5 per sale. So what's that? About $2,000 a month in profit. So can't complain. Harris said, how do you know who to trust out of all these gurus and what's really fact as opposed to fiction out there? Whoa, loaded question. I don't know. I don't know. Of course, there's lots of people trying to kind of like teach how to sell on Amazon or whatever else. Maybe ask around for people's advice, kind of who they trust. I don't know if there's one hard and fast rule I can give you to kind of like vet people giving Amazon type advice. On YouTube, Russell said, Greg, do you have any coaching let's see. On Facebook, Harris said, how do you know, all right, let's see. Sorry. One last question. This will be the last one. We're 1 minute away from the end. On Facebook, Wasim said, any tips for launching a high ticket product? One that will retail for $120 or more. One tip is I hope you have a lot of capital because it's probably gonna be a lot of money to purchase these products to sell. Other than that, there's not a whole lot that you're gonna do differently for a high ticket item compared to like a lower or less expensive item. So yeah, I mean, people are probably gonna want to see like really high quality images, a nice description. You know, they're gonna be a little bit more critical before purchasing a high ticket item like this. So those are the kind of things I would take into account. If you guys haven't already checked out the $1 million case study, I'd recommend you do so. We're actually almost at $500,000 in sales. So someone asked earlier how the jungle snugs are doing. They're doing well. We're, throughout this whole process, we have the marshmallow sticks, the jungle snugs, and we're just about getting ready to launch the jungle slumber sleeping bags. And we're already at almost $500,000. I think like 460 or 480,000 or something. By the end of this year, we should be at $500,000, which is incredible. So I would definitely encourage you guys to check it out. You can find it at junglescout.com/million. If you guys are watching this and you're wondering, should I get started on Amazon? This seems complicated. People have lots of questions. I would really encourage you to check that out because there's no better time than now. Best time to plant a tree was like 5 years ago. Next best time is today, and the same is true with your Amazon business. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. I have to go back to work. We have a lot of work to do around here. You guys do the same thing, and we will see you next time. Bye.